So we're going to be looking at Learning Target 3-4, parallel lines and angle pairs. And we're going to apply the properties of angles formed by parallel lines in a transversal. This is actually split into 2 different days. Day 1 is going to be the vocabulary and just making sure that you have the classification down. And then day 2 will be focused on figuring out the relationships based on that classification. So to start off with, a transversal is a line that goes through, or some people like to think of it as it's cutting. So it cuts 2 lines. Right now, they don't have to be parallel. I know when you're looking at the target, it says parallel lines. For transversal, just in general, you don't have to have 2 lines that are parallel. So your example is, this is line 1, line 2. Notice my lines are not parallel, and that's okay. This here would be my transversal. Corresponding angles. These are 2 angles that are on the same side of the transversal and same spot. Okay, so I drew my transversal in red. Obviously, you probably don't have that option on yours, and that's okay. So when we're talking about same side of the transversal, just so you kind of understand what we're discussing, this would be the same side, or this would be the same side. Okay, so you're talking either the left side or the right side. Or if your transversal happens to be rotated, it could be the up portion or the down portion. So just something to think about. So when we want them on the same side, so again, think of that green or the orange highlight, and we're talking about the same spot. So what I'm referring to, and I'm going to give you my situation here. So this angle here is in the top right corner. And that's based off of that little 4 square. Now, on the second line, I have another little 4 square. My angle that it would be corresponding to is also in the top right. So that would be angle 2 here. So I'm going to get rid of the boxes just because I feel like that's a lot. So I'll just put the top right. Obviously, they don't necessarily always have to be in the top right. You could have top left, or bottom left, or bottom right. This is just our situation, the picture I have here. All right, next, alternate interior angles. These are 2 angles that are on alternate sides of the transversal. And both, quote, quote, inside the 2 lines. Okay, so picture-wise, sorry, I'm going to just draw the same picture every time. It's just easier. So we're talking alternate sides. So I'm either on the left side or the right side. Like, I'm going to have both, okay? So if I'm looking at this, I need to be inside those 2 lines. So what I like to think of it as, this is my line A and line B, right? Inside those lines would be here. that's where they're overlapping, right? That's where they're shared. Or you could think of it like railroad tracks. If a train were to go over top those purple lines on that track, is it going to go over, that's inside the tracks, right? The train goes over top of it. If it's outside the tracks, you don't have to worry about it, right? It's exterior. Okay, so just something to know. So I would have 3 and 4. You could also have them on the reverse way. Totally fine. We'll talk about that in a little bit, so don't worry about that. Alternate exterior angles. So these are 2 angles that are on alternate sides. And they are exterior. AKA, the train does not go over top of them. So again, you're on the left and the right. I'm outside my 2 lines, so 5 and 6 here. And then the last set is consecutive interior angles. I'm going to be honest with you. I've taught geometry for a lot of years, and I personally don't use consecutive interior angles. I call them same side interior angles. I most likely will probably call them same side interior angles. It's a hard habit to break after I've been doing it for 10 plus years this way. Just different curriculum coming in to a different school district, and this is what they call them. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. They are the same thing. You probably will just hear me phrase it as same side interior. But anyway, consecutive interior angles. These are 2 angles that are on the same side of the transversal. And both inside. That's why I call them same side interior, because it makes sense when you're thinking about the language and that definition. I personally think it's a little bit easier just to do what feels right for you. So 7 and 8. All right, so again, you're just going through and trying to figure out the different pair. We will keep practicing this the following day, and then we'll have additional things added to this. You know, what happens if you have consecutive interior angles? There's something that happens on the setup for the algebra piece of it, or trying to figure out the angle measure. For right now, I just want to make sure that we understand what angles pair you have. Okay. So if I'm looking at this, I have my 2 lines here, or I have my 3 lines technically, and I'm supposed to list all the pairs. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. This in the middle is my red transversal. If you would like a highlighter, go to the back side of my room where next to the pencils or the turn-in tray and grab some highlighters, share them. You'll need 4 different colors because we have 4 different types of angle pairs. But just so you're kind of aware, this might help. Some people don't find it helpful, and that's fine. Do what is best for you. So I'm going to go with corresponding angles. So for instance, if I go with 2 here, who is also in the top right portion? That'd be 2 and 6. So I'm only going to dot one example of this, because otherwise if I do all of the pairs, then all of the angles are all going to be pink. So I only want to set up one set. So 2 and 6. That's one set. So I went top right. Let's go bottom right. That would be 4 and 8. So notice every time I have to have that angle symbol in front of the number, just FYI. Let's go top left. That'd be angles 1 and 5. And then bottom left would be 3 and 7. Switch up my color. I need alternate interior angles. So if I go with 6, I go on the alternate side of the transversal. So I have to be on the left side of the transversal. And it's kitty corner. It would be 3. Three and 6 make a set. And there's one other set. 4 and 5. Alternate exterior angles. I'm going to go with 8. So I need to be on the right side of the, I'm on the right side currently. I need to be on the left side of the transversal, and I need to be on the outside of those 2 lines. So it's got to be the 1. So we've got 1 and 8. And then 2 and 7. And last but not least, consecutive interior angles. I'm going to go with 3. I need to be on the same side of the transversal and inside. So if I'm on the same side, I'm on the left and I'm inside, so it's got to be 5. And the other set would be 4 and 6. Okay. Just thinking through those different sets and going through and using those definitions. So again, it helps that you get to see all the pairs so that you can match them up. Okay, so 5, 6, and 7, you're given just 2 angles and then you're supposed to figure it out. So on number 5, the transversal, everything that I've shown in the examples, the transversal has been up and down. Currently, your transversal is laying flat. Rotate your paper. Then it will look like all of the other ones, and it'll make your life easier, okay? So if I'm looking at 1 and 5, the first thing I need to rule out, so just thinking through our options. We have alternate interior, alternate exterior. We have corresponding, and we have consecutive interior. So notice I just abbreviated. These are on the same side of the transversal. They're both on the up side. If they're both on the up side, I know right now they are not alternate. Okay. So now I have to look at, are they interior or are they corresponding? Okay. So if I'm looking at this and my transversal, 1 here is not inside that, my 2 lines here. And if I look at this, they're both on the top left. These are corresponding angles. 6, we're going to do the same setup here. Except I don't have room to go right to left, so we're going to go up and down. First question. Which side of the transversal? Second question you ask? Interior, exterior. That's going to kind of help you out, okay? So first question, which side of the transversal? Well, one's on the left side and one's on the right. So those are alternate. That means I can eliminate the C ones, Okay, I'm either alternate interior or alternate exterior. So now I go to question 2. Are they inside my 2 lines or are they outside those 2 lines? They are outside. So those are alternate exterior angles. Last but not least, number 7. Again, set it up if you need to. No one says that you have to have one answer right away. Set up all 4 and then make your checklist if you need to. Not a big deal. Okay, so question 1. What side of the transversal? Well, 5 is on the left side of the transversal, 4 is on the right. So those are alternate sides. So I can cancel out the C's. Are they both inside? If my train were to go over the top of those 2 tracks, are they going to cover up those 2 angles? Yes. So those are alternate interior angles. We will continue working with classifying these angle pairs because tomorrow you will get to follow up with this and then work with the different methods. Right now, we just need to focus on making sure we understand how to classify.